Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Hello and welcome people to Footy Judge Mo. Chelsea standards are absolutely high to the moon. Enzo Maresca from Leicester City, after a lot of Chelsea fans told me they aren't getting a championship manager, but they got one. They got their Arteta 5-year process with Maresca, signing young players left and right, building a team for the future, of course. Man United keeping Ten Hag with the Casemiro problem. Of course, we got here Mohamed Salah, of course. He's going to be back in Ten Hag all the way. We got Mina, of course, who is, I think, indifferent about it. A little bit indifferent. Martin is here to wind people up. Finally, Martin is on the stream without the stream being about Arsenal. Big up, Martin. And
We'll
Ahmed
see.
is here. Ahmed here to answer for his crimes last time when he told me standards. Bro, this is Chelsea, the pride of London. We got standards. We aren't signing Maresca or McKenna. It's gonna be Amorim or Deserbi. You're here to answer for your crimes, baby. You're here to answer for your crimes. Big up everybody that is here. Hit that like button, people. If you're just watching us now, and if you're watching us on the replay, hit that like button, of course. Big up everybody that is here. And I think we're only fair to start with Chelsea a little bit, but not start. Actually, start with Ahmed. Actually, Maresca.
Well, listen. I've watched. I tried to do a bit of a deep dive onto him, like today, the day before. I can't speak for him tactically again. You know, from what I'm hearing, at least from some of the guys that I know of, they say he's like good tactically, or at least functionally, might be better than Poch tactically, which can always be a good thing. But I think for me, fundamentally, the question I always ask of him is, if that stuff is okay, can he handle the big stuff, which is, you know, the man management? Is he going to be able to handle a lot of these players? Is he going to be able to handle that pressure at being at Chelsea Football Club? You know, the media is going to be on you day one, that sort of thing. You know, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be on him. And for me, one of the reasons why I had personally ruled him out was because it's a very big jump just going from the Championship, you know, just to the EPL, which he was going to do with Leicester if he had stayed there. But when you go into from the Championship to the EPL and to a top 6 side, it's a big jump. So I just hope now, obviously, give him that deal. I just hope, you know, obviously it turns out, oh, otherwise, man, you know, it's not great if it doesn't, to be honest, man. That's what it is for me.
It's not an upgrade on Poch. You don't think it's an upgrade on Poch?
I don't know. Again, I have to literally look at his tactics. Again, once I actually look at the way Leicester played, so I haven't watched Leicester personally, so but I have to watch them, how he likes to play. Some of his coaches, I think he's done a coaches thing before that I might have to watch, and then I'll try to at least watch him in preseason before I make a judgment on whether or not he's bad or good. You know, I think that's a bit wrong of me to say.
But you are skeptical.
Currently, I'm skeptical. Of course, you have to be skeptical. You know,
at least, okay.
Yes,
at least,
yes,
at least,
yeah. But I'm not going to be one of those guys that, you know, that's going to be straight out with this guy. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's here. We've got to back the manager, and hopefully, you know, he pans out. That's the main thing I would say.
Listen, I don't know. Like, listen, and for me, it's a standards issue, and I said that before. I said that on MHF. It's a standard thing. It's like if Inter tomorrow if Arsenal tomorrow get a championship manager, right? I'll be questioning my board, right? Especially getting rid of Poch after finishing 6th. That is what I say, and I've been hearing all week about the standards thing. I'm not saying it's gonna work and it's not gonna work, but I think it's an uncalculated risk.
It's a high risk, definitely high risk. I agree with you, bro, on that one.
Yeah.
I think the argument in regards to standards, I think if you look at, you know, let's say the elite managers that are currently available, right? Tuchel is one of them, of course, but clearly there's something going on with the board and him that's probably why he's not going to come back to Chelsea. And then after that, Hansi Flick's going to Barcelona, if you were to include him in that bracket. Allegri, they're not accepting Allegri football at this football club, so there's no way they're going to bring Allegri to this football club. And then after that, everyone else is kind of locked up. And then there's a second group, which is, you know, they have potential. They've been playing at middle clubs, mid-table clubs, and taken to maybe high places, whether it be Deserbi in his previous season, not so much this season. Obviously, Amorim, guys like that, and clearly they don't want them. So I can't control what the sporting directors want. They've gone for him. This is their man. This is their guy. If he fails, they have to leave too.
What do you mean they have to leave? They own the club, bro.
No, it says
This is what
sporting
people don't
directors.
understand.
I
They
said
own the
sporting
club,
directors.
bro.
I said sporting directors, bro. I didn't say owners. I said the sporting directors.
Do you
I
think
don't think you quite understand how much power these American owners have.
No.
And
I said sporting directors. That's the key word.
No, but the thing is, I feel like Chelsea is one of those clubs right now where it doesn't matter whether there's a sporting director or not, because the instructions coming from those above.
Exactly.
So,
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
It's just smooth the surface. But I want to read a tweet to you really quickly. Chelsea will make the wrong decision one way or another. Whoever they choose will be the wrong person. Very incompetent ownership. They will try and get cheeky and cute, and it will backfire horribly. This was a tweet from 2 weeks ago. I tweeted
that.
Big tweet. It was for me. And that's literally, and that's exactly what's happening. And it's very unfortunate to see how far Chelsea have fallen.
Why it's unfortunate? I don't get it. Why
He doesn't believe that.
He doesn't believe that, man.
That's the local team that I grew up watching. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Mina's laughing because she knows what time it is.
He's a Chelsea fan. He used to be a Chelsea fan. This guy.
That's crazy, man.
Born in West London. That was a team that I went to go watch a lot of times, and it's just so unfortunate to see how far they've fallen. Chelsea went from Jose Mourinho to World Cup winner Felipe Scolari, and then you get guys like Ancelotti and Conte, guys with pedigree, the best guys available in the world, and now you're getting guys from the Championship who have just been promoted, guys who I'm seeing being tweeted about. I saw a tweet today from a Championship fan saying anyone that watched the Championship and played against Leicester, they weren't particularly impressive, and they dominated the Championship, fair enough, but no one was particularly impressed with them. You feel me? And I feel like the only reason that he was signed is because of the whole Pep Guardiola thing, and they're hoping to find their Arteta. You know what I'm trying to say? I feel like there's no like, bro, it's bewildering to me that Chelsea Football Club, it's just insane to me, bro. It makes no sense to me, and there's like, I can't justify it in any way. I don't care if
I have justification for it.
I don't care.
You wanted to control the manager.
No. I saw that tweet as well. It was a tweet where he said, "I'm just here to coach football," and that makes sense. But, bro, it's crazy to me, bro. I don't care if he's Jesus fucking Christ. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, it makes no sense for you to get someone coming from the Championship. Your Chelsea Football Club, like, this is embarrassing. Like, Chelsea are operating like a mid-table club, and it's very, very unfortunate. Like, the only justification I can think of is that he shares the same name as your most expensive midfielder, and that's it. Like, there's no other justification, but that's me.
I went back and had a look at the old Chelsea lineup from 04, 05, what Jose was playing with. And the names are just insane. And it comes down to fundamentally whether the owners are able to select the right players. Because I don't even think Jose picked all those players. I felt like Roman was so involved that he watched every game in the Premier League and was like, yeah, I want to go and build this team. And he did it with Mourinho, right? But now you've got to have faith that the owners or the people that they hire are going to pick the right players for whoever they sign. And that is complete blind faith, especially when it comes to Clown League, because they've proved that they don't have any idea what this game is about. So you're relying on, who's this Winstanley guy, and who's the other one?
Realistically, it's Stanley Stewart, and I think Joe Shields, who's a chief scout.
Anyone that doesn't think that Egbali and Top Bully make the decisions are actually
I think
doing what makes them sleep well at night.
I feel like we speak about Mr. Todd Brady when he doesn't really do anything. The guy that we need to be looking at is Egbali. He's the guy that's got 60% of the whole team. That's the guy we should be talking about.
Yeah, but the five guys they bought from Brighton, right?
But again, Bowley doesn't actually deal with the football stuff. That's actually
Do you really believe that?
Yes, because if you actually read a lot of the Chelsea insiders, what they report, it's Egbali that's actually the one that's pushing the thing. He's the majority owner, by the way. Egbali's the majority owner, so he's the one that's pushing be around there. It's not really Bowley. That's the thing with Bowley. He's just a chairman, so a lot of the time he gets scapegoated for a lot of the stuff that Egbali is actually doing behind the scenes. That's all it is.
So fundamentally, I think the issue is that Egbali wants to do stuff, and he's hired sporting directors to do stuff, and they want to do stuff, and then the manager has no say in either side, what either side are doing, and no one's working together. So I can't imagine how it's going to succeed.
Essentially, they're trying to, they're trying to build an improved version of the RB Leipzig model. That's what they've always said. That's why even the guy that they got from RB Leipzig, whose name escapes me at this moment in time, who actually left the club.
A very good comment here, by the way, by someone called Mash. The bad performances by Chelsea is used to overlook the overall quality, like player quality, and I agree with that. To be fair.
No. Yeah. By the way, for me, again, I think the players we buy, yes, they're youth prospects. They're not always going to be great on their day.
It feels like you're just hoping that one of them becomes. You know what I'm trying to say? Like there's.
I kind of disagree because, like, I think some of the players that we brought, right? I think there's no doubt in that. No. Again. I think yes, there is like the idea that you want these guys to get to the the world class level in order for the team to actually get to that level, right? There's no denying that. I don't disagree with that model. I actually don't mind the model, by the way. I think the thing for me is that you probably need to look at tweaking the model to be bringing a few more experienced guys, really, that have that talent that can do it regularly.
Why with Maresca? Why not with Pochettino?
So the issue again of Pochettino, I don't know why. Again, obviously there was the transfer aspect of it, which you've spoken about before, and there was, I think, also the injuries. You and I have disagreed on it before, but the injuries is like a big thing that was happening to us. A lot of muscle injuries, a lot of injuries in training specifically.
When I make that Justin and Hag, everyone looks at me funny. But
forget injuries for a second. Let me just ask, because as an outsider that watches Chelsea, what's the difference between what Poch tried to do with Chelsea and maybe what this manager, I don't even know what his name. What's his name? Macarena. I'm joking. Maresca. What's the difference of what he can do and what Poch did? Because I thought watching Chelsea that the root problem, outside of injuries, outside of manager, outside of owners, I thought the root issue was it was a combination of random players brought across a 2-year period that doesn't make sense. A bunch of young players that haven't really developed into senior experience level kind of players, and then you're letting your most experienced players go. So I don't know what's the difference of what this new manager can do, putting 5 years into him when Poch tried to do the same thing and they scrapped that project within 12 months.
And adding on to that really quickly, it was exactly what I was going to say, but adding on to that, it seems, you know how you said, it's young players and you're hoping that they become good, etc., etc. I feel like going off what Mina said, there's no clear plan. Like you've bought, and I've said this on most platforms plenty of times, you're not buying a style of player that you can play in a style of way. Like, so you're buying, some players are counter-attacking players, some players are possession-based players, some players are high-energy players. Like, there's no...
Yeah, I know what you understand, yeah.
Like, in which team does Nkunku, Cole Palmer, that Ukrainian brother, like, under what... How does that all work? You know what I'm trying to say?
No. Like, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. The issue, I think, was that
even though when Mourinho came to Chelsea, when Mo mentioned it really quickly, even though it wasn't Abramovich and there was like a way of the profile of player was the same. You've got a Lampard, you've got a Drogba, then you're going to bring in a Ballack, etc., etc. Like you've got players that are all similar profiles that can play in a team together. Whereas right now it just seems like, oh, this player might have talent. This guy, let's bring him in and then try and mold him into something that never works. You feel me?
I think what's happened is, I feel like they buy in a lot of these talents. The issue is, and I'll repeat this again, they're kind of they put the car in gear 5, but we need to be in gear 1 because like they're trying to literally do this multi-club model really fast, but they haven't got enough. Like, what's the word I'm looking for? Teams to do it in A. B, the squad itself, there's a lot of like adaptable players. I think guys that can play multiple positions, can do a different sort of thing. So I think it's up to the manager, whether it be Poch, who was trying to at least build something like that, which I will give him credit for. The problem I have always had with Poch was, tactically speaking, I don't think he was helping the players get to that spot. Yes, we can criticize the players saying that they're not good enough or they're not producing at that moment in time, but they're not even being for me personally. I didn't feel like they were being given adequate tactics to at least allow them to do so.
How did you find the last 6 games?
I think the thing about the last 6 games, I saw he switched the tactics, and I was actually happy about that. Right? I was actually.
It was for those 6 games.
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Do you know what the common denominator was for those 6 games?
Yes, Poch. I think fundamentally, Poch changed his tactics. Yeah, I think so. No, I would say.
You know what is so funny, Ahmed? You know what's so funny? That in the first 12 games of the season, a lot of Chelsea fans now are screaming, we want position-based football. Pochettino surpassed Man City in the first 12 games in terms of ball position. A lot of people tell me, but the ball position, we didn't know what to do with it. But that's not the point, though. The point is about winning. Like, the point is you can be like Jurgen Klopp and win. The thing about Chelsea, to be honest, there's too many complicated words. Multi-club system. I want to be like RB Leipzig. We want to bring the players that fit the positions. It's way more simpler than this. You spend money, you need to make money for Chelsea. You make money by winning. You're not winning, and you keep sacking coaches, and nothing is being fixed. I think all this multi-club, we need to get a style of play. All of this stuff,
moving too fast. I always repeat again, the club is moving too fast. I always said, for me,
thank you, NBR. You seem to be one of the very few people that have managed to see what I was getting at, by the way.
I know what you meant by, I know, and listen, and I think the issue that Poch had, and I knew this from the beginning, the reason why he actually was playing Gallagher a lot more was because he didn't know how to use Enzo. That was the main thing.
I think that is what you tell yourself as well, Chelsea fans.
No. Listen, yourself, I think right? I don't think Enzo. I don't think Enzo this season.
Can I explain it?
Go ahead.
And then you can go ahead. Okay.
Fair enough.
Enzo Fernandez is a talented player, but he's a very special talent. The likes of Pirlo, like this. I'm not comparing this. Wait. Just wait. Let me explain to you what I mean. Let me explain to you what I mean. If you let me land, you need to build around Pirlo. For example, to get Pirlo the chance to express his talent, he needed the Gattuso, the Ambrosini, the Sidors to do some runnings and some covering for him. And Pirlo used to be the dictator of everything, right? The guy that is completely controlling the game. Enzo Fernandez defensively isn't great, right? Offensively, he isn't a 10. Enzo Fernandez does not run box to box to cover and do this. The problem with Enzo is that Caicedo is better than him and Cole Palmer is better than him. So he is the one who needs to work for them. But he isn't that guy. He is someone that needs people around him to work for him to allow him to do what he's good at, which is some form of distribution. So that's the problem with Chelsea. You bought a player, but you didn't build around him. That's the problem. You have better players than Enzo at your club. You're saying Pochettino didn't know how to use him. No, Pochettino realized that this guy isn't an 8 because Caicedo isn't going to cover for him. And he isn't a 10 because nobody else is going to cover for him because he's not that good as a 10. And he's not that good as a defensive midfielder. Maybe if I can play Gallagher, and that it showed. And let me tell you the final thought about this. This is proven by when Conor Gallagher played at the end between Palmer and the 10, Caicedo on the 6, Caicedo shined and Palmer shined at the 10. And Conor Gallagher just used to do the running. And that was it. Enzo isn't that guy. That's the problem.
So you're saying he can't be the star of the team. He has to do the work for others. Others can't.
And he's not good at it, Mina. And he's not good at it. So basically, he needs to sell the guy and get somebody else.
He needs a water carrier. He needs Gallagher man marking him and like doing all the stuff that he doesn't want to do so that he can shine and do all the through balls. But
and he's not that good, Martin, to be a 10. That's the problem. He's not that good.
That's what I'm gonna say. So I understand when you say when you're not comparing him to Pirlo. I hear that. Fair enough. I jumped the gun because for me, Pirlo's top 2, top 3 greatest midfielders of all time.
Pirlo for me is second behind Zidane for me.
Zidane, Iniesta, Pirlo. That's the conversation for me. But I see what you're trying to say in terms of the fact that he's a luxury player where you have to build around him to get the best out of him. Yes. But is it worth trying to get the best out of him when he's not really that good anyway? Like, are you
he's not better than Palmer and Caicedo. There are better players than him.
If Chelsea have a midfield of a middle 2 of Gallagher and Caicedo, which they did, and Cole Palmer in front of them, they were much better. They were much better these last couple of games. And then you have a striker, even Nicolas Jackson.
That's accurate.
I have never heard this false 8, bro. This is like once you see people try to come up with names, bro, positions, new positions, he's a false centre back. This guy is a false centre back. No, with all due respect, this is why.
I think.
But bro, my point about this is that I've heard some people try to come up with positions.
Oh, please
not actually. He said he's not a 10, he's not a 6, he's not an 8.
Again, for me, what I don't listen for me, what I care more than again, people can say about Enzo, all that stuff, right? I care about a functioning team. Can the team function? Can it do its job, which is winning? If Enzo doesn't work, at the end of the day, he doesn't work. It's as simple as that for me. I know you spend a lot of money.
All the point, Ahmed, all the point. Forget Enzo now. You're literally, your justification for Poch is that I couldn't get the best out of Enzo.
No, I was giving an example. There's more than one
Bro.
example. I told you before, the injuries
Who
is a
else?
big issue
Give
with
me
him.
who else?
No, it's not.
I
But
can
it's not just
answer
injuries.
every decision Pochettino did. And
Okay, so you can answer Pochettino's decision on why his heavy training was causing injuries in for the vast majority of our team.
That is not proven, by the way. That is not
Bro,
proven.
that is more than proven. Listen,
Speculation.
no, I'm sorry. No. That one is actually proven.
How
There
is
is
it
more.
proven with every
Bro,
single
with
player,
every
even-
single club,
I
every
don't
single
wanna
club he's
scream
been
and
at,
yell here.
every single club he's been at, yeah, they have had multiple injuries, right? Due to particularly in training because of his harsh training methods.
What
Okay,
about?
do
Do you
you know what
remember
I-
Antonio Conte? Do you remember?
That's
Do you
his-
guys know that Antonio Conte used to get that guy that coaches Real Madrid now, and the players used to vomit, and it used to be guys. This hard training thing is an
Yeah,
excuse.
Mo,
If
can
it
I
was
respond
an
to
excuse, if
No,
players, sorry,
It's
Mo,
not because for me,
I'm gonna tell you
but
one thing. It just it cannot injure his players, and all the players do posts about him, bro. Just come
Oh
on,
my God,
it cannot
come
be
on,
that.
man.
Nice.
But don't you think it's not Poch's fault? Like he has to make use of Enzo. It's the most expensive player in history, right, or whatever. And Caicedo. Like if Enzo's not performing because he needed that operation, et cetera, like I still felt like Poch had to do something with him, try to get the best out of him. And then we saw later on when Enzo went off injured and didn't keep playing that he was able to build a better team, and it felt like stuff was starting to catch fire. I'm glad you guys sacked Poch because I was starting to get worried
About what?
about them like progressing, about them having an actual like something to build from. Now they're going back to zero, so it's fine. They can get whoever they want.
At the end of the day, I kind of disagree.
Ahmed, really quickly. Do you know what I find it very hard to believe, and why I find it so hard to hear this training thing? I find it hard to believe that professional athletes are being injured because they are being told to run, or because they are
It's
being.
not again. That's what the point you're coming from, my friend, is incorrect because it's not because again one of the things that came out at the very least. Again, I always take this stuff with a pinch of salt, right? But he was getting guys that had just finished, had just come out. They're just kind of healthy, 10%, 20% ish, and making them do automatically full double back-to-back training. You know what I mean? That I don't think is a suitable method for any player. I'm sorry.
Yes,
like
a professional coach with a professional team, and we are YouTubers. We're gonna tell them that you don't have sufficient methods of training.
Well, listen, when you're getting 60 players,
I don't think what he's saying is wrong. I don't think what he's saying is wrong. It's common sense that having intense sessions before a game or after a game, you're more likely to end up with an injury. That's common sense.
But do you think Pochettino and his team don't know this?
Well, that's
Do you think
the
they
question that
insisted on it, even though they injured? So, Mina, you think Pochettino is so stupid and his team is so stupid, right? They actually knew that this method is injuring players and they kept doing it?
I don't think that they knew that it's injuring players. I just think that he's trying to instill a level of like work ethic into players, and it's not working. It's not working. You see people like you see like Cristiano Ronaldo, for example, when he was at Manchester United, he was annoyed that a lot of the younger players wouldn't train with him after training sessions. Who was the one person that took on that method of Cristiano Ronaldo? Diogo Dalot. He turned out to be Manchester United's best player this season. He said that he learned a lot from Ronaldo. He'd stay back after sessions, do extra sessions. He'd come in a lot earlier before sessions to do extra sessions. That's instilling a work ethic. Maybe that's what Poch and his coaching staff feel like they could have done with Chelsea. I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but I do think that the injury excuse is a bit worn out, and that's coming from a Man United fan.
So you think they should have sacked Poch or no? Because I'm not getting your point.
I wish they kept him.
Okay,
I wish they kept
without
him.
banter. Without banter.
No, genuinely, I didn't.
Oh.
I thought the last couple of games, I didn't think it was an amazing change. I just thought come next season it's going to be all downhill again.
You haven't said your opinion about Maresca and the hiring actually of Maresca. Do you think they went back 2 steps, or do you think they are right to hire him?
I think firstly, it's difficult for me as a United fan to comment on it because we might end up being in a similar position as Chelsea, where we're back to the drawing board. But for me, a 5-year deal for a manager that I think essentially you're taking a risk on is a bit questionable. I can't lie. Especially, and you mentioned it earlier in the stream, I think a lot of managers are looking to go down that route of having, I think there's a coach and a manager. I think managers have too much involvement at clubs, and some clubs now are going down the route where they don't want someone like that. They want a yes man. And bring in
a coach and a manager.
Pardon?
You said coach and a manager.
A coach and a manager, yeah. A coach is someone whose job, I think, is just to implement the football philosophy that the hierarchy want the club to play.
Okay, so the hierarchy is the...
And a manager is someone who's involved with transfers. They're involved with the integration from the youth team. They're involved with pretty much a lot of decisions. And I
Have
think,
we seen this hierarchy system work before?
What, the coaching one, or just are you talking from like
a
manager having
fundamentally like separating a manager from his selection of his team? To me, doesn't seem like a way to succeed. But
I'm not saying this from I'm not saying that you're separating it from the selection of the team. The coach has the say on who plays, but essentially you come in and you're told a blueprint on how to play. Manchester United are trying to implement something like that right now with Ineos. Ineos have come in and said that they want a style of football to be implemented across all teams of Manchester United, men, women, academy. Where did they get that from? They got that from Manchester City. When Abu Dhabi came into Manchester City, that's literally what they implemented. If you watch the women's team, you watch the men's team, and you watch all their academy teams, you see a distinctive style of football played across it. And I think Chelsea are catching on, United are catching on, and essentially it's yes men. Essentially, it's a yes man. It's someone that doesn't have a lot of involvement.
Isn't that dangerous though? Like, you've got hierarchy telling you what formation you should be using and things like that. Like, it doesn't feel like the manager is involved anymore.
That's why I'm saying you're not a manager. You're a coach. You're brought in to coach that philosophy. If you look at
Real Madrid, bro, it's even
it's very strange actually.
I'm saying I wouldn't even argue it happens at Real Madrid, but except they just bring in elite players. You know what I'm saying? They just bring
Real Madrid's not a good use case. Even Man City, I think, would copy everything that Pep does to make everyone on Pep's page. Like, I wouldn't say anyone tells Pep like what to do.
The Man City example is very different because at the end of the day, the head of the snake is Pep Guardiola. This system that's filtering through every team is Pep Guardiola's philosophy, and it's not a bad one to follow, if I'm trying to say. But one key thing to note is, even though Man City do implement that, Pep Guardiola is still essentially the manager as well. Like, he has a lot of say in what goes in and around Man City. Maybe the next person they bring in will be just the coach, but as Martin said, I don't think that's a strategy that is gonna work too often. You feel me? Because like with Arsenal, for example, Arteta is the manager. He's got a lot. He's got a lot of who he brings in because he's got a style. I think the way it should be and the way it has been for a while is a manager comes in and you implement that manager's philosophy and you back the manager to build his team.
But do you know why that's not always a good idea? Can I just
I was actually about to say that. I was about to say that right now.
The thing is that every time your manager leaves, you find yourself at square one. Manchester United, the last 10 years, every time their manager leaves, they find themselves at square one. They have to focus on getting rid of all the players that Oli brought in or Mourinho brought in. They're still trying to offload them right now. Whereas if you are a club that is solely focused on your own philosophy and your own style, and I'm not saying that you solely pick the players that you bring in and the manager doesn't have a say. At the end of the day, the manager has to pick the starting 11. But every time you move on from a manager, every 4 years, your philosophy and the foundations of the team will remain. So you won't be in a rebuild. Right now, when Manchester City get rid of Pep, the foundations are there, but the main part that's holding the foundations together, which is Pep Guardiola, one of the greatest managers of this era, is not going to be there. They are in a better position had they, after, before getting Pep, say they got a random other manager, and then 3 years later they had another random manager after that, they'd continuously find themselves in a rebuilding process. But they've got them foundations. I think we give a lot of credit to Pep for the style of football that Manchester City play, and rightfully so. But this is I think an ideology that is going to go across English football because it's been around, bro. It's been Madrid were doing it, Barcelona were doing it, Milan was doing it.
Ahmed, I'm sorry.
No, let me just.
No, sorry. Just give me because I want to challenge Mina on this because this is very important. Who knows football more, the sporting director or coaches of football?
I think that's a good question. I think equally both. I think aspects of football, such as transfers, such as recruitment.
No.
Because hold on, because you're asking me who.
So let me explain the question.
No, you're asking me who.
Now you're gonna go, Mina. Now you're going to transfers and stuff. Mina.
No. I'm telling you. But doesn't transfers isn't that a part of football?
No.
Isn't that a part of football?
No. I'm talking about style of play. You mentioned a style of play that goes down the youth teams and everyone, right? Who knows that more? Who knows coaching more? Like a style of play, a formation, a way of playing.
I'll say the coach. I'll say the coach knows.
So it's better for me to get a coach that aligns with my philosophy and then make that coach make the decision about the way I want to play, right? Players or not, that's completely
what if
different.
that changes every time?
Okay, hold on, but hold on. This is why when Man City wanted to build a foundation about position-based football and boring football, as I say, they got Pep Guardiola and they had everyone play the same way, right? Same way, everyone. Barcelona back with Cruyff, everyone play the same way of playing football. But it's the coach's way. The reason why at the end, the ones who know football more, the ones who get the badges, aren't the sporting directors. It's the coaches that study philosophies of play, that study formations, inverting. This winger goes one, isolation. You know what I mean? All this football, the things that you know, are the coaches. So you guys are telling me that you want to get the teacher that doesn't know English to tell you what the words meaning and you get someone to teach that. No, the one that should teach and the one that should decide is the one that knows, the one that studied coaching, which is the coach. And then you follow that. About the players and not the player, that's completely different, Mina. Because even Pep Guardiola doesn't have a say on who they bring. Pep Guardiola gets a profile and gets names. And they already said that in Man City in the interview. They said Pep Guardiola gives us 5 names or 4 names, a profile, because he wants a player that can physically big, a player that can play left back and center back.
It's also about like character and like there's a lot of intangibles about what a manager wants in their dressing room, which doesn't come from a spreadsheet, which sporting directors and all that kind of stuff are using to try and pick, you know, the best players based on data. But that doesn't help you when you're trying to build a team which has like nuance to it. This is why you can't do a pop-up team like Chelsea did, where they're like, yeah, we'll get 4 centre backs and 4 attackers, and we'll just jam them all together, and we'll
expensive ones. Arsenal want Modric. Let's get Modric.
Yeah.
Mina, even Jurgen Klopp. If you listen to the journalist of the people that actually report on North football and Northwest football, the Liverpool people, after he left, they said, now they made interviews with these journalists, and they said he changed the culture of the club by his philosophy, but he didn't have a say in the transfer when Michael Edwards was there because his talent idea wasn't great. But they got him what he wants in terms of a profile or something like this. But his philosophy transmitted all the way to the youth teams, that now when you look at the youth teams and the youth players for Liverpool, they play the same style. He was able to use them. That notion of I want to get a coach to implement my style of play. Well, the coach knows more than you. What do you know about football?
Let me ask you a question then. Let me ask. Right now, Liverpool got a new manager, right? And you're saying that at Liverpool, basically Klopp has left his legacy. He's left his philosophy there. Yeah. If it does not work out for Liverpool because they've now changed the manager, but they've kept the philosophy that was left by the previous manager, do you think that that is better than what other clubs like Chelsea or someone else are trying to do, where they have their philosophy and they're just essentially churning out new managers every couple of years?
To be fair,
when Liverpool hired Arne Slot, can you just answer this question and then let you know? Arne Slot, when they said one of the reasons, done a couple of reasons why Amorim, they didn't approve, even though they approached Xavi, and the reports are saying they approached Amorim, is that he didn't want to change his style of play to match the players they have, right, and the money. Arne Slot matches what club built for, even they said under the 16th and the 15th. They said even integrating youth players will be easier with Arne Slot. That's why he got it. But I'm just going to tell you that, Mina. Simply, Inter got rid of Antonio Conte. We got a new guy called Inzaghi. Completely different way of playing football, by the way. Completely different way of playing football. It worked. It worked. That notion of we have all... Now everyone wants to be Pep Guardiola or Arteta on this project. Sometimes football is just simpler than this. You get a manager that implement the style of play, that can coach the players. Ange Postecoglou got players that played under completely different managers defensively, got them to play his style of play within 4 weeks with results as well.
There's certain managers that are good with working with leftovers, and I think Ange is one of those guys. Sorry, Sal, one sec. I think there's a dangerous situation that happens now where your directors and your sporting directors in your boardroom are choosing the players. If things go wrong, the pressure just goes on the manager, and then they sack the manager, and you can't get rid of the people in the back room because they're part of the furniture. They're protected from the result, but they're making all the big decisions. And I think I saw this with Sir Jim. He said that he wants a manager that will come in and just play the way they want them to play and not rock the boat. It's the same scenario as what the Chelsea are trying to do, and I think it's dangerous. Sorry, Sal, go on.
Yeah. No, I was going to say a perfectly fine example of what can go wrong when you do what Mina is suggesting is Napoli just this last year. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And Mo, I know you're up to date with the Serie A. When Spalletti left, over the last 10 years, Napoli have employed 4-3-3, played this particular brand of football, and we tried to get the first manager available that can play, that has a history of playing 4-3-3, high pressing, and it just didn't work, you know? And that's why this time around, we're going in a completely different direction and saying, you know, we're going to get the best manager available and back him on his system and his philosophy. And that's why it's always best just to get the best manager available, because managers are more knowledgeable than owners.
How big is the pressure at Napoli in comparison to a Manchester United or a Chelsea?
I mean, we've been title contenders for the last. I mean, obviously, Man United's a completely different situation, but we've been in and around the title race since we came back into the league. So,
I think the point I want to make. If you look at Chelsea, if just before these owners came in, and this was when we were under Tuchel, we had players from 2015 Mourinho, and then players from Mourinho, to players from after that was Conte, then it was Sarri, and then it was Lampard. We had players from all of those managers, and they were completely different in everything they were doing. And at that point, Tuchel luckily was able to make something out of what was there. But it was a mess. But no. But fundamentally, the squad was a mess. We had completely different age profiles. A lot of stuff was going wrong. So I can't blame them when it comes to at least the players that we had at that time and what had to be done to move them on. I can't blame them for that. What I can blame them for is them buying too many of these young guys, and maybe not, not with the thought of actually trying to make it fit together, and doing this multi-club stuff too fast. That's the stuff I can blame them for. Hopefully now, with whoever we bring with this Maresca guy, he can make the team work, and the guys that can't work, just move them on. I know these guys like to flip stuff really quickly, and they can do that. And that's
last
what I can
question
say.
to you, Ahmed. If Arne Slot next season, if what's his name, Maresca, doesn't get top 4 and doesn't win a trophy, are you Maresca out?
I think that's a bit too hot to say. I need to see actually the season first before I can make that decision. It's too hot.
You know what? That's double standards, and I want to move on to Man United.
It's not double standards. It's not double standards, because when I said the same for Poch. I said the same for Poch, by the way. I said if Poch competes for a trophy and he's able to get us into top 6, I said 6 is the aim, and we got 6.
You wanted Poch to anyway. We'll see how it is. So, listen, I want to move on to Man United.
I maintain that. Yeah. Listen, I didn't flip from that one,
because I know Mo Salah and Mina have a lot to say about Man United, right? But I want to say one thing. I had a very argument with HUSAM earlier about this, and I said the letters that were sent to Ineos to keep Ten Hag because of the names they're linked to. I said you should actually send letters to Ineos, not ask him to keep Ten Hag, right? Ask him to be linked with better names. Allegri's out there, Xavi's out there, De Zerbi's out there, even Thomas Tuchel. Even though I don't like Thomas Tuchel is out there, right? Erik Ten Hag has been good at Ajax. This is just my opinion. He's been good at Ajax, came to Man United, had a good home form the first season, won a trophy, the Carabao Cup, was second in home form in the table, by the way, behind Man City. And all what people asked for, and I actually praised him, and I said, transfer this home form a little bit away to the away form. What he did is that he took the away form and transferred it to the home form, so they get dominated at home by other teams. Completely abandoned the style of play. I am not hearing any injuries or whatever thing, because Ange Postecoglou had a certain style of play along with Emerson Royal and Ben Davies playing at centre backs. At least I saw signs, and Erik Ten Hag is relying on an 18 years old to implement his style of play. That's his fault, by the way, and he abandons everything. Right? It's his fault.
It's not
right.
true.
My point about this is that Man United should aspire for more. And if the board cannot attract Xavi and the Derby, Man United are finished. Completely finished. If you cannot even attract the Derby, you're finished. You're done. If that's all you can get, Potter and Southgate, or keep Ten Hag. I'm not saying Ten Hag might not turn it around, but it's a very slim chance. Very, very slim chance, to be honest. And I actually think the last point before I let Mo Salah and Mina come in, I think if they are now only linked with Graham Potter and Southgate, they're setting the fans up to accept Erik Ten Hag for not having a better name, right? Which is exactly the fans feel for it. They're already sending letters and asking to keep Ten Hag because the names are worse than Ten Hag, while you're supposed to be linked with better names than Ten Hag. That's my point about Man United. It's all PR, setting up the fans to ask for Ten Hag to stay. So everybody's on the same page now. They keep Ten Hag and the fans are happy because there was no better name. Simply. I'm done.
I'm just going to say one thing. Yeah, I'm going to say a few stuff because you mentioned a few stuff. The point of the letters, I don't care about the letter because fans are entitled to their own opinion. That letter that people were writing, by the way, it was a letter written on your notes app on your iPhone. There was no header. There was no footer on the letter. It didn't come from 1958. It didn't come from the match day going fans. It was just a letter circulating the internet. We cannot sit here and tell fans how they should and shouldn't feel about a situation at a club. We should, because right now, if people were to write letters saying sack the manager, are you going to be saying, oh guys, that's ridiculous? No, you're going to be like, oh, everyone's entitled to their opinion. So if they're writing letters to flipping Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, they can write a letter to Santa Claus, bro. I don't care. They are entitled to their own opinion. Yeah, that's number one. Number two, it's an interesting thing that you mentioned about the Ten Hag, sitting on the fence kind of idea in terms of Ineos keeping him because there's no bigger name out there. I think personally, if they are to keep Erik Ten Hag and they're truly going to make a statement and say that they are behind him, he's only got 1 year back on his, he's got 1 year left on his contract plus a 1 year option. If they truly back him, they'll give him a new contract and be like, you know what, 4 years, we trust the project. We believe in the project. That is what you call backing the manager. Backing the manager isn't sacking him 1 year before his contract finishes. It's, you know what, giving him an extension, even if some people might not feel like he's earned it. It's giving him an extension and saying, you know what, we believe in what you're trying to build. The thing about, oh, I'm not buying injuries or all of that kind of stuff. 19 different centre-back partnerships. We were one game away from me probably playing centre-back for Manchester United. That's how thin Erik Ten Hag's defensive options were. And I'm someone that's been very critical of Erik Ten Hag for style of football. But as the season has persisted, I realized football is a results-based game. We could talk about style of football. We could talk about philosophy. But when you're going through a shit season like Manchester United did go through this year, all fans care about is getting results. So when we're getting bopped by Bournemouth, getting bopped by Nottingham Forest, we're having to fight for a comeback against Brentford, we're losing to Brighton at home, we're losing to Crystal Palace. I don't think people cared about the style of football in which Manchester United were losing in. I don't think they cared about the manner in the way that they were losing. I think they cared about the results. And we went on to beat Burnley 1-0. We went on to beat Luton 1-0. I myself was saying, you know what, 3 points, I don't care. I don't care about style of football because football is a results-based business. And that's why a lot of people's opinions, I think, has changed after the FA Cup final because he won a trophy. And they've kind of they've taken a step back from everything and be like, you know what, I can see all the things that he's complaining about. I don't think Erik Ten Hag has helped himself in a lot of situations. I think the media, in the UK in particular, has been targeting him. It has been a targeting against Erik Ten Hag. And I wish that he had a bit more personality and a lot more bite in press conferences when talking to media, because otherwise they're just going to keep running with their stories, running with their agendas. And we saw it one day before a cup final, journalists writing articles saying he's going to get sacked regardless of the result. For me, and this situation right now with Erik Ten Hag, I just want it solved. I just want it solved. If they're going to stick with him, stick with him. If they're going to part ways and go for a different manager, then do that. Because once the summer transfer window opens, it's going to be the Euros. And then it's going to be pre-season. There's not much turnaround for a new manager to come in and kind of hit the ground running. We're going to be in Chelsea's boots. We're going to be back at square one, where a new manager's coming in. He's got players from Mourinho, Oli. He's got players from Erik Ten Hag, and he's going to have players from his own time at the club, and he has to make decisions. And unfortunately, as much as football is a results-based business, fans are very impatient. So you're asking Ahmed right now, at the end of the season, if you don't make top four and you don't win a trophy, will you be Maresca out? Fans are impatient. So any manager that comes in off the back of Erik Ten Hag, and you lot know, if there's any United fans in the chat, since Oli left, there's revisionism about Oli. Jose, there's revisionism. He was a good man. He won us. It will be 10 times worse with Erik Ten Hag because Erik Ten Hag left on a high. He left on a high. So the way that I see all of this is we could talk about how Erik Ten Hag has failed. He's got his failures, injuries. Some people say his man management. Some people might say his lack of character and personality. But at the end of the day, football is about results. He didn't get them this season. And winning the FA Cup, I think, just kind of paints over the cracks. But if there's no better manager out there, and I'll be real, all the managers that United are linked with, I'd rather keep Ten Hag. I'd rather keep Ten Hag. Potter, Southgate. Wallahi, I won't come back on YouTube if Manchester United get Southgate. I'm not joking. I'll never come back.
I can't lie to you. I feel like the Southgate one is a bit of a joke. I don't think that's possible. That one is not possible, man. You know what I'm saying? Even as a number United hater, man, no way. That one's definitely not possible. Man. But you know, I think in regards to actually, you know, speaking on United, I think United just like, I feel like if you remove Ten Hag, there's just like players from so many different teams, like much like us at Chelsea at one point in time in 2022. Like you have too many players from them. You also have like decisions to make because like I feel like a lot of these players that are there aren't good enough. I know some of them are leaving on a free. Like I think Martial's leaving. Isn't like Wan-Bissaka allegedly leaving too? Or is that like
he might get sold? He's got 1 year left.
Yeah, but like I know Varane's leaving, so there's like guys leaving, but there's still more that needs to be left. Then there's a question of like guys you need to sign. So I'm not sure why the manager stuff has not even happened sooner, in my personal opinion, because for me, 2 weeks time Euro starts. If you want to start at least moving some of these guys on and bringing in some players, now is probably the best time to start doing it.
People are obsessed with he doesn't have his players, but people are obsessed in England about this.
But the thing is,
you ask yourself one question: is this a good player or not?
Yes,
that's it. If it's a bad player, it's a bad player for this coach and bad player for that coach. By the way,
what's that in response to? I don't get it.
Because all I'm hearing from Man United that every manager that comes in, right? Every manager that comes in have players from other managers' systems and stuff like this. Some players are just bad.
Said 5 minutes ago, you just said managers come in and bring in their own players. So how can you now
not
say
all the players?
That these managers can't come in and want to get old managers?
Mina, do you think that every manager should get every player? Guys, let me answer here. Sorry. Do you think that every manager?
Respond to himself within 5 minutes?
No. Do you think that every manager deserves to get all his players?
Be silent. You'll hear more.
Do you think every manager
just kick everyone off the stream, let him talk to him?
Do you think every manager deserves to have all his players before we judge him?
No, not before we judge him, but also you just gave Ange Postecoglou credit for getting good out of players from a previous regime, right?
But that's exactly what I'm.
No. Hold on. Let me land my point. You just gave him credit, right?
Yes.
But if all these players at Manchester United have failed under every manager, then how can you then say, well, Erik ten Hag has to try and get it? Bro, they failed under Jose. They failed under Oli. They were very bad under Rangnick. So if you are actually going to give a manager such as Erik ten Hag, or even if someone comes after him, I think you should allow him to have at least the main foundation of the players that he needs. Now, you know, you look at then you go back to the structure of the club and the recruitment and the strategy. And Manchester United was run by accountants and bankers. How do you think we ended up with Casemiro after we were chasing De Jong for 2.5 years?
Do you think Casemiro's bad last season?
Last season, I think he was good, but also I think Casemiro, similar to Varane, we brought them 3-4 years too late. Yeah. We needed a player like Casemiro when Pogba was there and Matic was on his last legs. That's when we needed Casemiro.
Very true. Okay.
And I think that we ended up buying Casemiro. You know, when it's like when I'll be real, it's like, you know, when you're a kid and you want a toy and your parents say no, then they finally get it for you, and then you're like, yeah, you play with it for a bit and then you don't want it anymore. That's Casemiro. That's Casemiro for Manchester United. He came in last year. We needed him. He slotted in well, one of the players of the season. Then, bam, you start to see his.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the players' managers, or not a player's manager.
But I'm talking about the fact that Erik ten Hag never wanted Casemiro. There's articles about it on The Athletic. The way that Casemiro ended up at Manchester United, Erik ten Hag got a phone call and said, say yes or no, because we're going to buy him. And he said, okay, I'm not getting De Jong. No, okay, fine. Buy Casemiro. How do you think he ends up with a player of a completely different profile to the player that he was?
But could you not make the point though? This season, he's asked for players. The club have given him his players.
And they've not played. They've been injured. That's the point. That's the point I was waiting for. He's asked for certain players, and those players weren't available. Mina just said it. They've played 19 different centre-back partnerships this year. How do you cope with that? How can you even begin? And the thing is, everyone that talks about Ten Hag's style of play, Ten Hag, the first thing he wants to do is play out the back. That's why he brought in Onana. That's why he got rid of De Gea. How can you play out the back when you're playing 19 different centre-back partnerships, bro? It's impossible. It's impossible. You feel me?
But he's had Amrabat. But even if you remove the centre back partnership, right? Look at the midfield. Yeah, yes, you can say maybe Mount has not played the whole season, but you would know Mount was about to crash and burn at Chelsea when he was starting to get injuries in his season 4 and he's had 200 appearances for us.
29, bro. Mount was 20, like when he was at Chelsea, he was at 23, 24. Like he's still
but he had 200 appearances for us. That's not normal, big man. Like for a player of his age, yeah. So like, and he was eventually he was gonna get injured. So like,
you know what I'll say? Mount wasn't a. I think he was a PR signing, and the reason why I say
okay, fair enough.
Young English player. You know, you have to have a certain number of English players who have played in English academies. I forgot there's a name for that, but you have to have like a certain number homegrown talent. And I think Mason Mount was a PR. Generally, I say this all the time. I think he was a PR signing because you don't go from wanting a Frankie De Jong for near enough to 2 summers in a row to ending up with Mason Mount. It's not possible. And I don't agree with it, by the way, because had United just waited 1 year, you could have got him on a free, logically. But again, this is all back to the people that were running Manchester United at the time. We had Richard Arnold, Murto. We had bankers in place making banking decisions, being told, listen, I'm not a football expert. I'm not a recruitment expert. But if you sent me to Chelsea to go and buy a player, I'll end up probably overpaying just because I just want to get the transfer done. And that's what happened with Manchester United. Again, that's not an excuse, but I'm trying to make you lot understand that the problems that Erik ten Hag walked into, which is why I'm a bit sympathetic for him in some instances. Like I said, he hasn't helped himself all the time, but I'm a bit more understanding because of the situation. Now, the argument a lot of fans are having right now is, well, do you let him have the experience of structure? Because that's what people always say. At Ajax, he had the structure. He had Overmars, he had Van der Sar. He didn't have to focus on a lot of what he's doing right now. So do you give him that opportunity at Manchester United and give him that 1 year? But for me, that's not enough. And I'm not saying he deserves a new contract, but I'm saying if Ineos are going to say they're backing him isn't enough with this 1 year that he has left on his deal. They need to put their money where their mouth is and say, you know what, we're going all in, chips all in kind of situation.
I feel it's funny because like a couple of weeks ago, Mo, I was on a stream and I said Ten Hag's basically squatting at Man United and you're going to have a hard time getting rid of him because he's got a contract and it's a pretty sweet deal. But after winning the FA Cup and the better season than Arsenal stuff, I feel like you guys, you've made a rod for your own backs now where you have like your whole fan base seemed to be Ten Hag out except for one guy, Marcel, right? Who would go on every stream and get attacked by everyone.
No. I know more people that are Ten Hag.
I don't think you're looking at Twitter, my friend, man. There's like
I know more people that are Ten Hag.
Yeah, on Twitter, man. There's a lot of Ten Hag.
These days, there's a lot more since the FA Cup.
Yeah, fair enough.
A lot of match-going fans actually want Ten Hag to stay. Like every all of those little interviews that you see outside the stadium, majority of Man United fans that you see want Ten Hag to stay. It's just a big Twitter narrative and social media narrative, in my opinion, of wanting Ten Hag out, some of the biggest pages and things like that, rather than actually fans wanting them out. Because most fans understand that projects take time. I know there's a lot of people that say, oh, trophies are all that matter, etc. But these things take time. Man United, there's a lot of things wrong. And as Mina said so eloquently before, some of these players that have been here under Mourinho and Ole are still there and haven't been playing well. So you need a fresh start at some point. You feel me? And I feel like it hasn't been a fair year for Ten Hag. I know people don't want to hear about injuries and stuff, but injuries are a massive part of the game. And even though teams have injuries, the quality of replacements haven't been there for Man United. Again, 19 centre-back partnerships is something that I'm going to continue going on. And Mo, I've been saying this every single time we've been in a stream together and we've spoken about Ten Hag, and you say, oh, you don't want to hear about injuries. But if you have the majority of your first team players out for a large part of the game, you will struggle. Every manager will struggle. Bro,
but I think that happened with Poch, right? They would bring players back from injury too quickly because there's this pressure to win. You have to win now to keep your job. So, what was it? Lisandro Martinez came back and got injured straight away, pretty much, right? I think a couple of times this season.
But we had the whole XI and a bench injured, and listen, no one can say excuse about injuries, isn't it? So,
but I don't even think Ten Hag's the problem. It's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Don't worry, man. That's no comment though. We had the most injuries in the league, by the way. I think other than Newcastle, it was us for most injuries in the league.
Let me explain something to you. Chelsea spent £2 billion on signing, so when one player gets injured, you've got another £60 million signing.
Again, the $2 billion you keep on mentioning is not true. It's $1 billion. Firstly, secondly, 300. Secondly, 300 of that. No, but like, listen,
no, but you're missing the point I'm making. The point I'm trying to make is if you've got Wesley Fofana that's out injured, you've got Thiago Silva and 𝙭𝙩𝙤𝙀 that are ready to fit in. You feel me?
𝙭𝙩𝙤𝙀 was out for like half the season, bro.
What I'm trying to make is you've spent millions and million pounds on your squad and an 𝙤𝙬 and players here and players there. You feel me? So it's different for Manchester United. They haven't been given that privilege of having to build players that are in your starting 11, and then your bench is also very, very good. It's not the same. It's not the same.
On the topic of the injuries, I think this is one of the things that I say Ten Hag hasn't helped himself. He's rushed players back. Luke Shaw came back from an injury at end of October. He went on a 7-game run playing 90 minutes plus and then got injured again and was out for the rest of the season. Lisandro Martinez, for me, he kept on picking up different types of injuries. 1 minute it's a knee injury, 1 minute it's a hamstring injury, but it's something to do with his leg. Again, coming back into games where I felt like it wasn't a necessity. Just to put what Salah's saying into perspective, Chelsea lose one player to injury. They got 2 or 3 other players of young talent available to come on. Manchester United had to play Johnny Evans. Johnny Evans came to Manchester United. He didn't come to play this season. He came to just be a number. You know them, that 25th man in the 26th squad. That's what his job role was. He ended up playing how many games? Coming on in the cup final because Manchester United was struggling with injuries. And I think that's why I say Erik ten Hag hasn't really helped himself in some situations when he's, contradicting himself by saying, I'm not going to play Kobbie Mainoo. I don't know if you remember, but when he came back from injury against Everton, next game he was benched. Then the next game after that, he was benched. And everyone was like, well, where's Kobbie? And the manager said in a press conference, I'm not going to rush him back because he's come back from a long injury. Then you have Amad Diallo, who didn't start until about April or May. So that's why I say Erik ten Hag sometimes doesn't help himself. But I feel like in football, we overlook this nuance of injuries because it's a buzzword. People think it's a buzzword, but I do think there is some influence of it in the way that a season can go, unfortunately. And some people are just lucky. I swear Liverpool, they be doping and shit. That's why them man don't be they won't getting injured. Where's HUSAM? Bring him here right now.
Can I ask you
one
a question?
thing's consistent at Manchester United is that everyone fails that comes in as a manager. Since Ferguson has left, the consistent as the club is that the infrastructure is everything's crumbling around these guys, and they're just the fall guy, and sack them and repeat the next couple of years. So hopefully Sir Jim and those guys know what they're doing. It sounds like they've sent an email to everyone at Manchester United saying, you've got 7 days to indicate if you want to work at Manchester United anymore, or you can take an early bonus to piss off right now. So they're clearing house, that's for sure. They're moving like a big corporation.
I was going to ask you, obviously, let's say that they do remove Ten Hag from the job. Why do you not think a guy like a Tuchel, like for 2 to 3 years, wouldn't actually be a bit of a good option to have? Because I feel like, having him, whilst the squad is at least being turned around, and then you bring in maybe their guy, whatever it is that they want to, do their style of play with, might be a better option, honestly.
Now, what benefit is that though? Because if you're going to bring in someone just for the short term, I feel like the goal when you bring in any manager is to have him be there for a very long time, especially when you're a big club. You feel me? Like you want.
I hear you. I get that, but if there's going to be a squad turnaround, that, and it's going to take a bit of time for that to take place. Why not bring in a guy that at least can see that happen, and still at least give you some level of winning, if that's the thing that United fans want.
That's a fair point,
right? And then you bring in the guy once that situation is complete.
No, so that's a bit. I mean, I think the best option for them if they get rid of Ten Hag would be De Zerbi for me personally, because of the style of play, and I'm a big fan of him personally. But but then again, it'll be the same thing in 18 months because it's Man United. Like I said this literally the last time I was here. 2 years ago, Erik ten Hag was the best thing on the market. He was the manager that everyone wanted. It was like, he's the man that's going to turn this around. He went to the semi-final with Ajax. Like he was this next genius that everyone wanted. And a year in, fair enough. Okay, first year. 2 years later, now everyone wants him gone. It's going to be the same thing with anyone that comes in. Like there's got to be fundamental changes at Manchester United from a foundational level. There has to be a lot that changes for Man United to get back to where they deserve to be, in my opinion. I know last week someone said, why can't they aspire to be like Real Madrid? They can be, they should be, but that's not where Man United are at the moment. They need to build back up to get there. There's a lot of things that need to change.
I don't even think Pep Guardiola himself could go to Manchester United and do anything substantial, like challenge for the league or anything like that. Winning an FA Cup is that's climbing a huge mountain for Ten Hag, so fair play.
I genuinely think all of this is about the injuries and everything. Erik ten Hag had game when he had only Lisandro Martinez and Luke Shaw out, and you still got dominated by the Lutons. You still got dominated by the Bournemouth. You still got dominated by the Brentford. He couldn't create a lot of chances. His style of play does not create chances for Rasmus Højlund. Can I let me finish? Can I let me finish, or are you gonna cut me off?
I hear it. I just don't like when we refer to managers if they're on the pitch. He missed chances. I hear it. Go on, Karen.
Nobody missed I never said that. I said they didn't create chances.
Create any chances. He couldn't create any chances. But Karen.
They couldn't. Okay, so they couldn't. His team couldn't. Is that grammatically correct? Is that grammatically correct? Can I say that?
No, it's not. Do you know what it is? I find it with certain people. Like they blame the manager for literally every single thing.
You want to say Mo? Say Mo's name. Why are you saying certain people? Say his name. Say his
name. Man, come on,
man.
Say his chest.
Say his name.
Say your chest.
Listen, I get what he said. I don't blame the manager. For example, I'm gonna tell you something. There are things that you can blame the manager for, and there are things that you cannot. For example, at Jurgen Klopp, for example, you cannot have a striker that converts 12% to 15% of his chances, right? And he has the most chances created for him in the league, and he misses the chance. And I can blame Jurgen Klopp. I can blame him for other things, like having no coverage for this guy, no coverage. But for me, looking at Man United, you don't create you don't play from the back very well. Maybe that's because of personnel, right? But you don't actually press well. You don't move the ball very well. You leave Casemiro isolated. That may be down to the players around him not helping him. But I'm looking at the manager not able to use these players correctly. A lot of times when I'm watching Man United this season, I don't know what is Man United. I said that about Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea. I said, even though he won the Champions League, if you ask any Chelsea fans, what is Chelsea? They'll tell you, we actually don't know. We just win some games, and sometimes when it doesn't go our way, it just doesn't. We're never going to game knowing what is going to happen, right? How are we going to play today, right? And by the way, I supported Inter. We were coached under Mourinho. We're against bigger teams who used to defend, against smaller teams who used to dominate. Conte is the same guy, right? Erik ten Hag, you have no idea what is big team and what is small team.
But they do all right against big teams. Like they did all right against Liverpool and City, where they didn't have that pressure to have the ball. But when they came up against Coventry, is when all hell breaks loose. It's like you've got to be the aggressor. You've got to be the antagonist.
My point about Ten Hag is that I haven't seen that Ajax footprint at Man United other than some games.
But he said after I think it was.
Also, can I add one more thing about Ten Hag? To be honest with you, can I ask about anytime I hear this guy talk, right? I can say this guy doesn't know how to talk, doesn't know how to say anything.
I think it's a language barrier. Don't be harsh. I think it's a language barrier. It's the Dutch to English. I think he's struggling.
Also, one thing I've noticed about the Dutch language is they're very,
very literal. It's a very So translate it.
Literal language. So having to try and do that, but in English is completely different.
Sometimes, man, this is why I say, man, sometimes it's better to get a translator, big man. You know what I mean? Just have that in there. Make sure he at least gets it correct in it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm gonna say, bro.
Maybe it's but anyway, okay, maybe it's a translation thing. But every time I hear the guy talk, to be honest, I think this is not someone I want to lead my dressing room at my club. Someone that doesn't know how to lead. And by the way, you guys, like, I don't know if you guys spoke to coaches before. I know you both, all of you did. They say one thing. One of the main things about coaches is being able to deliver the message the right way. And I think someone that talks like this in the for the press, I don't think he can deliver.
When you say the way he talks, what exactly is it? It can't be. Are you saying the way he speaks English? The way he gets his message across in English?
Yes, the way he gets the message across, the choice of responses to questions, the way he says that. For example, we should have won a game. What does that even mean? We should have won a game. When he spoke, like, I can give examples, but I can't remember because there are too many of him. The way he chooses how to respond to a question, this is why, with all due respect, it's not a language barrier. It's just you're choosing the wrong answer to the question.
Bringing up that Garnacho offside, like every.
For example, that one is like, what are you talking about?
He was rattled about.
What is wrong with you? What does that mean? Like, he doesn't know. By the way, Pep Guardiola, for example, he speaks English, but you can tell he struggles sometimes to find the right words. Sometimes, but he knows how to respond. Even Mikel Arteta, as annoying as Mikel Arteta is, sometimes he knows how to respond to the media. You sit and listen to the guy. He knows what to say.
He's been Premier League football for like 15 years, and then he was under Pep for like 5 years. It's completely different.
What I mean is that some people just know how to respond. Erik ten Hag has been coaching for a while. I don't think he knows how to respond.
sure if you look at his Dutch interviews and anyone spoke Dutch, it would probably
I
be a
don't
lot.
speak Dutch, so I only watch the Premier League. So
He was
that's-
very aggressive after the FA Cup game. He was saying to journalists that they don't know football and that.
Yeah,
he's
stuff
the
like
only
this,
one-
Martin. It's like,
he's
why
the
do you
only
call
one
out
that knows.
journalists like this?
Season, by the way. I don't know
You
if
don't
any.
know football.
Let him
Hey,
do
man,
that.
that's
Let him
what
do that.
Lampard was doing, man. Hey,
Clap back at the media. This is the media that has literally, after losing 2 games in his first season here, the first 2 games, they were sitting him down like he just committed the biggest crime in the United
Oh,
Kingdom.
by the way, that was crazy.
Like this
I
media
remember
has been against him, so if he wants to talk to them like that, let him. He's a better
that. Still
person than
speak
me.
to them though.
If me, I would refuse to do press conferences. You know when he banned certain journalists a couple months ago, he should have done that for the rest of the season. He should have banned them. He should have.
Should have taken a leaf out of Alex Ferguson, man. You
Can
know what
I
I mean?
ask,
I don't want to speak with these
everyone
guys
here,
again.
what's the percentage of Erik ten Hag turning it around, in your opinion?
The thing is,
what does that look like?
10% for me. 10%.
What do you mean? Winning the league or?
Turning it around, like having a. Did Arteta win the league, Martin?
No, but what's turning it around in the question?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it winning
Did
another trophy?
That's the
Is it-
question. Did Arteta win the league?
No,
No.
not yet.
Did Arteta turn it around?
No.
He turned the club around, but I don't know what your metric is.
That's the question. So you answer.
Has he
yourself.
reached his conclusion? That's what he's asking.
You answer. By the way, you answered yourself, Martin.
I don't know what you're asking. Ten Hag turning it around.
You know exactly
there.
what I mean.
He just won the trophy. He doesn't need to turn anything around. That's,
he doesn't need to turn it. You're here to
He's
banter.
successful.
You're not here to.
I think it depends. If Ten Hag has a structure and he decides to play his style of football, I think 35%. I'll give him
35%.
Yeah.
What about what's the likelihood he stays? Because I'm very 50-50 right now. I
can't lie to
you. You want the truth, Mina?
I don't think he's staying. I don't
But
think he's
here's the problem. Based on, I was speaking to HUSAM about this earlier on MHF. It's like it calmed down very quickly from Man United after the FA Cup about the links to the managers. You know what I mean? As Ineos, it's either they're working in the background and they are so discreet about it, or the links are actually coming because McKenna now is signing a contract. Maresca went to Chelsea. Xavi's not on the table. Thomas Frank denied any links to any top clubs. Do you know what I mean? Amorim is now staying. Like all the Thomas Tuchel stopped briefing the media about Man United and his love for Man United or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I felt everything is like calmed down.
I think an FA Cup win.
They are preparing the people. So, well, we didn't get anybody unless they're talking to Southgate and they're waiting until the Euros to not.
Imagine they.
That is
keep
crazy.
Him, imagine
that is
and
the
sack him in
situation
December.
now.
Imagine they keep him, sack him in December because Southgate said he's not talking to anyone until after the Euros.
So
they could make a decision.
July 15th.
No. I'm talking about they might say, you know what, Southgate, next season, the seat is yours. And they might just decide, let's stick it out with Erik ten Hag for a couple months. Guys, you're never seeing me again. Khalas, I'm gone. I'm never coming back here. I'm never going to be on any channel. I'll delete my channel.
Comedy, stand-up comedy, Man United shows. I'm watching Bina. I'm watching Saeed. Bro, stand-up comedy.
Saeed's going to be sensational, man. That's going to
be... Erik ten Hag for one season, knowing. You know, Pellegrini with Pep Guardiola when everybody knew that Pep Guardiola signed him for City. Imagine Man United next season knowing that Ten Hag is going to get sacked no matter what he does. And Southgate already signed the contract. Stand-up comedy.
I feel like they're taking the temperature of the fan base. They're like waiting to find out how much outrage there is.
I don't think they care.
I saw the Flex was asking on Twitter if you guys should have a parade for the FA Cup. I feel like even the fans don't know whether they should be celebrating the stuff right. Like everyone's gone from get him out to like
we've never had a parade.
We're not really sure anymore.
Yeah, we've never been the kind of club.
They're not Liverpool, man. Yeah, they're not Liverpool.
We did that.
The winning league and Champions League.
But I understand it from Martin's perspective because he didn't want anything like it was like 30.
No shame in the parade. You know.
Well, Liverpool had a parade for a Carabao Cup and.
FA Cup, man. That's mad.
That was crazy, bro. Don't go to a quad. That was crazy.
Liverpool, I hear it though. Liverpool know they're not winning anything for a very, very long time. I hear it, man. Let them do their thing, man.
I'd say more parades. Everyone should just have a parade after every win. You know, 3 points in the Premier League. That's pretty special these days.
I think it's what Arsenal fans do every time after a win. You guys come out and say we'll win.
Why do you hate joy, Mo? You want everyone to be sad all the time? God.
No. Mo's a hater, man. Mo's just, you know what I'm trying to say? Mo's a hater. I hear it though, man.
Why am I a hater, bro?
No,
I actually literally live said if Chelsea get De Zerbi, I'm behind Chelsea next season.
Mo, can I tell you something? I feel like your tone is completely different when you're talking about Arsenal. when it comes to Arsenal and Arteta, your tone is completely like right now. We'll be talking about Chelsea and Man United. Very fair, very unbiased, very cordial. The second we start talking about Arteta and Arsenal,
What do I say?
You become the biggest. Oh my God, I don't want to.
The biggest what? Tell me, because I'm gonna dunk on you right now. Tell me.
I'm gonna text it to you because I don't. You know, I don't like swearing in public. You know what I'm trying to say?
So you swear on text message?
No.
All right.
Mo's aware of certain narratives.
Just to let you know, League Gunner and rival fans and North sides, they call me Arteta's Defense League. Right? Literally, by the way. Literally, right? By the way, that means I'm doing my job correctly. I'm being very fair. I'm debating the right points. But you say that I hate Arsenal. Well, I've been called an Arsenal fan all season. That means I'm doing my job correctly. I'm being fair to all the clubs. Apart from Man United, to be honest. To be honest, I'm never fair to Man United.
It's okay. We don't need your fairness.
I just don't like.
Yeah, of course, I know. You're Man United. This is Manchester United. I know you don't need anybody's sympathy. You're big Man United. You're entitled to win because you're big Man United, and you've seen one manager in your lifetime that is successful. You're absolutely everything.
You would die for that. You would die for that.
100%. Who said no?
So how can you sit here and shame me and say, "Oh,
I'm not shaming you.
I'm just saying that we don't need your approval. United fans don't need your approval. They don't need you on their side. I watch your streams all the time. I don't care what you say about United because it's not really gonna rattle me. But I see people saying, "Oh, he's so biased to Arsenal."
Now.
I'm not rattled. I'm not rattled. You see the smile? I ain't rattled, bro.
You guys are just lucky you won that FA Cup, or it would have been dunk session times a million.
It's worse. I swear to God, if they didn't win the FA Cup, it would have been better. Because now they are talking about
they might be in Conference League, man. If they don't sort out the ownership stuff, you never know, man.
They have to pay back the goal difference to the league. Like, you guys can't finish with a minus goal difference and be a big club. Like, that's crazy.
Thank you, Mina, for watching the streams and knowing my stance on Manchester United.
You're always open.
Thank you so much. I watch your streams too, and I know. Anyway, listen, people. I want to thank everybody. Mina's channel is in the description, right? It's Mina Football. It's in the description. It's very simple. One click away. How many subscribers are you on?
I'm like 100 off 4K. I'm like 100 off 4K.
Well done.
A what?
I said I'm 100 off 4K.
Guys, you can get here to 4K right now. And the bridge, of course, in the description. The bridge is in the description. Ahmed, you can go to for HUSAM. I know what Mohamed Salah did or something happened to him. You can go so HUSAM can start. Right?
No problem. All right, take care, guys.
And Martin, tomorrow morning, myself, HUSAM, and Dan Potts will talk about 𝙭𝙗. Of course. For Arsenal fans, I haven't spoken. By the way, I haven't spoken about Arsenal fans for a while, actually. But tomorrow we'll do. But thank you, Mina. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Martin. And thank Mohamed Salah. And I want to thank, of course, Ahmed. This has been a calm stream. Mohamed Salah just joined back. Of course, his channel is also in the description. Of course, the Sports Room M5 MS is in the description.
You didn't ask him about signing Conte for a manager, did you? Like, didn't they just announce Conte?
Bro, just the Serie A got 10 times more exciting by signing Antonio Conte.
Let's go. Hey, listen.
You guys don't understand how much I liked Antonio Conte, even though he coached Juventus.
Finished 10th, and we managed to pull one of the best managers in the world, bro. That's what we call. I'm no longer a small club. I'm not a small club no more.
Look at him.
And then you're going to sell Kvaratskhelia and Osimhen and go back to Banter.
No. Kvaratskhelia is not going nowhere. You feel me?
Going Paris Saint-Germain.
Osimhen will go. For me, there's only two players that I don't mind that everyone else can go apart from two players. If I keep them, I'm okay. That's Kvaratskhelia and Lobotka. Everyone else can go. I hope most of them go. I'll be okay. I'm back next year.
There's one super chat. Erik ten Hag is just weird and awkward. Louis van Gaal wasn't like that. That's an answer to your Dutch thing. He's awkward, bro. He's an awkward person.
I can't criticize someone for their personality. Once upon a time when I was a kid, I was an introvert. I had a stutter. I grew up out of it. I can't sit here and be like, oh, he's awkward. Oh, he's, the way he talks is a bit weird. If that's how he is, that's how he is. Of course, in football, that's different, isn't it? Because you look at the managers, you look at the Peps, the Klopps. You see the aura. That word, I fucking hate it. Excuse my language. But you see the aura that they have in interviews, the way they get their points across. So I understand in football, it could be different. As a United fan, for me, that don't really bother me. Sometimes it is annoying, his answers, but I get it's coming more from a point of frustration rather than an honest emotion. But I like that it bothers other fans. I love it.
It doesn't bother me, bother
It's okay.
me.
You gave us a 5-minute monologue about the way that he speaks.
It doesn't bother me,
And
but
we-
actually it
and
shows me that he
Yes,
cannot lead a
yeah.
dressing room.
Yes.
It shows me that he cannot lead a dressing room.
because
Simply
because of the way
he doesn't know how to talk.
because
Simple.
who made you the king of talking?
Yeah.
How can you say how can you say he doesn't how can you say he doesn't know how to talk?
Oh,
Did you
Okay,
create
okay.
talking?
No. By the way, Mina, let me ask you a question. Are his answers logical to you?
Yeah, sometimes they are. Except for when he goes on about Arsenal. I hate it. If he mentioned Arsenal, the Arsenal game, I think he mentioned it in 7 times in the last 5 weeks of the season. You know that he mentioned it 7 times. 7 times.
recently, he didn't mention it recently.
He mentioned it a lot.
yeah.
He mentioned it a lot in the last couple
No
weeks of the
way.
season.
He talks about it like if they'd won that game, they would have won the title, basically.
He basically says that was the game that we could have started to turn our season around, and
That
I
was the
get it
turning
because
point.
it was September. It was off the back of a lot of losses that we took. Spurs, Wolves, we beat Wolves, we lost to Spurs.
With Lisandro Martinez and Varane, it ended with Harry Maguire and Evans, and that was the start of their downfall. So I hear it.
I don't know what's your love for all the coaches around the world, bro. Which coaches do you don't like?
Can I be honest? Can I tell you where I stand? I stand in a place where back in the days, the coaches had so much power, and it was like this whole new thing of players having all of this power and them being able to be the ones to decide to get the manager out. I'm very much team manager until I see a reason for that manager not to be there anymore. Until it makes sense in my head for there to be a justification for that manager to be out. Does that make sense? Like for me, I don't think Poch should have been, especially the way Poch ended the season. There's no justification for him to be out. The injuries plus the the fact that they gave him so many players to work with, he shouldn't have been fired. I mean, Ten Hag shouldn't be fired. I think Arteta's doing a fantastic job. I mean,
the worlds are rainbows and flowers, and it's all about the friends.
How are you comparing what Arteta is doing to Ten Hag and Poch?
No, I'm just saying,
it's all about the friends we make in the journey.
Everybody hold hands and
oh my God.
Sing and run around.
It's all great.
No.
We're all good people. You know?
The machine needs content. It needs to be fed.
The thing is, I don't like where football's headed.
Bro.
Like,
I love you.
No. Do you know what it is? I don't like where football's headed, where social media and these instant reactions are like the be all end all. Like football's a process sport. You feel me? Things take time. Things don't happen overnight. And I feel like the way football is headed now and the way fans are reactionary to everything, I think people want everything to happen now.
Yeah,
you know
that's why we have YouTube. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a job here.
But it's always been like that. It's not always been like this. Real Madrid players booed their own players when they weren't performing.
Is in a class of its own.
So it's okay for them to do it, but it's not okay for us to do it.
I feel like Real Madrid's different. It's like Real Madrid, they've earned the right to act however they want to act because it's Real Madrid. No one else has the right.
Let me ask you a question. Leon, this season, I don't know if you'll remember, it was like December times. The ultras were holding the team back after the game, speaking to them in the stadium. AC Milan fans doing the same thing.
Leon were though. Leon was in the relegation zone at that time.
Milan did it and Inter did it. That happens everywhere, bro.
So that's what I'm saying. Fans can hold their players accountable for stuff.
After a run of like 10 bad, they're not going to come to you after 1 or 2 games you lose and you get sacked. That's like Milan last year. The reason they did it is because Milan won a title and then they were 8th at some point in the season. That's why they did it. Inter did it after winning.
You remember the situation with the Champions League when everybody booed the team when they got knocked out of the group stage.
I'm saying this isn't something that like right now Arsenal will lose 2 games and it's oh my God, Arteta out. Arsenal had the most incredible second half of the season and there's people that are saying Arteta out even though they win the league. You feel me?
Is it not? Because the way that I see with Arsenal is like I get people who might not be sold on the Arteta thing because
we made it. To Arsenal. Never mind.
They haven't won a trophy. No, but I understand that perspective. I understand that perspective. But in terms of what Salad said about how football ain't what it used to be, bro, it's not what it used to be. Time moves, things change.
I mean, I'm of the mindset that football's terrible now. Anyway, I feel like the quality of football.
100%. The times of R9s,
how many
of R9 and Ronaldinho and Rivaldo are gone, bro.
Terrible now, anyway.
It's gone. The face of football is Erling Haaland, bro. That's the face.
Can I ask Mina a quick question before we go? Are you selling Rashford? Or are you keeping Rashford?
To Arsenal? Absolutely.
Not just
not.
in general. Do you want to sell him or do you want to keep him?
I got one more year left in me to support him.
I got one more.
I got one more year in me. I got one more.
I got one more in me.
All right, people, just stay on the stream. It will take it to HUSAM, where it actually has 𝙂𝙧𝙗𝙗𝙗, and I think somebody else, and they were talking about Chelsea and Maresca. You have to go and hear that, because these are the people that said we are not getting the championship manager. We'll see you guys soon. And we're
Wait, by the way, didn't Maresca bottle a 17-point lead?
I'm ready.
Can I go? Can I go?
In the championship? That's pretty crazy.
Almost.
Huge,
he almost bottled the league. Yes.
Wow. I don't know anything about the guy, but